Once upon a time, in a bustling Igbo village surrounded by rolling hills and dense forest, there lived a young woman named Adebi. She was known throughout the village for her beauty and grace. Her dark eyes sparkled with kindness, and her smile could light up a room. Adebi came from a proud family. Her father, Papa Eda, was a respected elder, and her mother, Mama Eda, was known for her wisdom and generosity. They adored Adebi, and she was the pride of their home. In the same village lived Emeka, a tall and charming young man. His deep voice and easy smile made him popular with the villagers. He was always surrounded by friends and admirers, and many of the young women secretly hoped he would choose them. But Emeka only had eyes for Adebi. Every morning, he would find a reason to pass by her house, pretending to go to the market or fetch water, just to catch a glimpse of her. At first, Adebi barely noticed Emeka. She was focused on helping her family with chores and preparing for her future. But slowly, his persistence began to win her over. He would bring her small gifts, fresh fruits from the market, beautiful beads, and once, even a handmade necklace. Adebi started to look forward to his visits, and soon, they were spending their afternoons together, talking and laughing under the big mango tree by the river. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, casting a golden glow over the village, Emeka took Adebi's hand in his and whispered, "Adebi, I love you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. Will you wait for me until I'm ready to marry you?" Adebi's heart raced. She had never felt this way before. Emeka's words filled her with hope, and without thinking, she nodded. "I'll wait for you, Emeka." Their love blossomed quickly. They would meet in secret, away from the eyes of the village. Emeka promised Adebi the world, and she believed him. But as time went on, their love became more than just stolen kisses and whispered words. One day, in a moment of passion, they crossed a line that would change their lives forever. Weeks later, Adebi noticed something was different. She felt strange, nauseous in the mornings, tired all the time. It didn't take long for her to realize she was pregnant. Her heart pounded in her chest as the weight of what had happened sank in. She had heard stories of girls who became pregnant before marriage, and how their families disowned them. The shame, the whispers, the judgments from the villagers, Adebi was terrified. She knew she had to tell Emeka. He had promised to marry her, hadn't he? Surely, he would take responsibility. With trembling hands, she went to their secret meeting place by the river and waited for him. When Emeka finally arrived, his usual smile faded as soon as he saw the worry on her face. "Emeka," Adebi began, her voice shaky, "I'm pregnant." For a moment, Emeka stood frozen, staring at her as if he hadn't heard correctly. "What?" he asked, his voice low and filled with shock. "I'm pregnant," she repeated, tears welling up in her eyes. "We are going to have a baby." But instead of joy or concern, Emeka's face twisted with fear. He stepped back, shaking his head. No, this can't be happening. I'm not ready for this. My family, they'll never accept this. I can't do this." Adebi's heart shattered. "But you promised. You said you loved me, that we would be together. Emeka, please, don't leave me." But Emeka turned away, his fear overcoming any love he had for her. "I'm sorry, Adebi. I can't. I'm not ready to be a father." With that, Emeka walked away, leaving Adebi standing alone by the river, tears streaming down her face. She watched him disappear into the distance, her world crashing down around her. The love she thought would last forever had vanished in an instant. The days that followed were a blur of shame and fear. Adebi's belly grew, and it wasn't long before the villagers noticed. The whispers began. "Did you hear? Adebi is pregnant, and she's not even married." Everywhere she went, she felt their judgmental eyes on her. Mothers pulled their daughters away when she walked by, as if she carried some curse. When her father, Papa Ada, found out, his rage was like a storm. "How could you bring such shame to this family?" he roared, his voice echoing through the house. "You were supposed to be our pride, and now look at you. Pregnant with no husband. Who will marry you now?" Mama Ada tried to calm him, but her own disappointment was clear in her eyes. "Adeobi, what have you done?" she whispered, her voice filled with sorrow. Adeobi could only cry. She had no answers, no way to fix what had happened. Her heart ached with guilt, and she wished more than anything that she could turn back time. As the months passed, Adeobi became an outcast. No one wanted to be associated with her. Her friends no longer visited, and even her father refused to speak to her. But despite everything, Adeobi stayed strong. She knew she had to survive for the sake of her unborn child. One stormy night, alone in her room, Adeobi gave birth to a baby boy. The rain pounded against the roof, and the wind howled outside, but inside, there was a strange peace. As she held her son in her arms for the first time, she felt an overwhelming love wash over her. She named him Chibuzo, meaning God leads. He was her light in the darkness, the one thing that gave her hope. Life as a single mother in the village was not easy. Adeobi worked harder than ever, waking up before dawn to fetch water, till the land, and tend to her baby. With every step, she felt the weight of judgment from the villagers, but she kept her head held high. Mama Ada, though heartbroken, softened with time and helped Adeobi care for little Chibuzo. But Papa Ada remained cold, barely acknowledging his grandson. One day, when Chibuzo was about a year old, Emeka returned to the village. He had been gone for a long time, traveling to other villages to escape the shame. But everywhere he went, the memory of Adeobi and their child haunted him. He realized he had made a terrible mistake, abandoning the woman he loved and his own son. With heavy steps, Emeka walked to Adeobi's home. His heart pounded in his chest as he knocked on the door, unsure if she would even speak to him. When Adeobi opened the door and saw Emeka standing there, her heart raced. For a moment, they stood in silence, memories of their love and betrayal flashing between them. "I'm sorry," Emeka whispered, his voice thick with regret. "I was a coward. I left you when you needed me the most. I'm here now, Adeobi. I want to make things right. Please, let me be a father to our son." Adeobi stared at him, her emotions swelling. She had waited for this moment for so long, but now that it was here, she realized she no longer needed Emeka. She had raised Chibuzo on her own, and she had grown stronger because of it. "I've forgiven you, Emeka," Adeobi said softly. "But I don't need you anymore. Chibuzo and I have made a life without you. We're happy. I won't let you disrupt that." Emeka's face fell. He had lost everything. Adeobi turned and closed the door, leaving him standing outside, alone with his regret. As the years passed, Adeobi and Chibuzo became the heart of the village. People who once whispered behind her back now admired her strength and resilience. She became a symbol of hope for other women in the village, showing that no matter how hard life became, it was possible to rise above it. One day, Papa Ada finally called Adeobi to his side. His once strong face was now lined with age, and his voice was softer, filled with sorrow. "I was wrong, Adeobi," he said, his eyes filled with tears. "I should have stood by you. You are my daughter, and I am proud of the woman you have become." Adeobi embraced her father, and for the first time in years, she felt whole. The pain of the past had been healed by the love she had for her son and the strength she had found within herself. In the end, Adeobi's unwanted pregnancy had brought her the greatest gift of all, not just her son, but a deep inner strength that no one could take away. She had faced the worst life could throw at her and come out stronger, wiser, and more powerful than she ever imagined. And so, Adeabi and Chibuzo lived happily in the village, surrounded by love, respect, and the peace that comes from overcoming life's greatest challenges.